Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with the penultimate round of our F1 2001 career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here back in Mexico City for the Mexican Grand Prix. If you missed out on the video that went live a couple of days ago from COTA, I would highly recommend going back and check it out. With just 2 races to go, the season is getting very, very intense. Just 11 points in it between myself and Jacques Villeneuve at the top of the table. But had David Coulthard let me win the last couple of races, you know, playing the team game, then we could be top of the World Championship. The big goal this weekend, of course, is to make sure, first and foremost, that we head into the season finale with a shot at the World Championship. We have still finished no lower than 4th all year, excluding that one DNF we had back in Singapore, but I keep mentioning it in every single race. I just can't seem to win again inside this series. We haven't won a race since Monaco. To be fair, Villeneuve hasn't won a race since Belgium either. It has just been Heinz-Harald Frentzen and David Coulthard taking wins recently, and Schumacher in Singapore somehow. But yeah, get yourself subscribed if you're new. We're trying to hit 140,000 subs at the moment. But yeah, 2 races left. I'm going to try and get the finale out on Saturday, so you definitely want to watch that. But let's do this thing. Well, huge thunderstorms are meant to be battering the Mexico City over the course of the weekend. So rain both on Saturday, and we're meant to see rain throughout most of the Grand Prix on Sunday as well. So I mean, it potentially is a great equaliser. It should on paper suit our car, but I've got no idea what is going to happen as we head into the rest of the weekend here, as you can immediately see. Yeah, we have not opted for straight line speed in the car. I've just tried to make it as stable as I possibly can through the corners, trying to avoid the wheel spin as best as possible. But yeah, that is going to be much easier said than done, of course. Everybody has got traction control. But the AI have obviously got traction control built in on top of the traction control. It's very, very weird to try to explain, but it basically means, yeah, they are very, very good around this circuit. But I'm just hoping, obviously, as we navigate our way round, that we can get into a rhythm, work out what these conditions are like before we head into the race there. As I mean, these conditions seem to be suiting Ferrari so far in this one-stop qualifying. Schumacher and Hakkinen both doing a pretty good job there, as I think everybody else as well just struggling to put the car where they need to. Rubens Barrichello there goes straight up into P1. And yeah, our qualifying time at the moment just isn't looking fantastic there. Frentzen now all of a sudden appears at the front of the order. As long as it's not Villeneuve, that's the big one for me there as we try and make our way through those final couple of corners. This will probably be one of our worst qualifying maps of the year in terms of final position, but putting the power down on the run up towards the line. P15 here. That is shocking. Well, there we go then. Williams, despite the treacherous conditions there, still bagged themselves a front row lockout. Juan Pablo Montoya in the Arrows is up in P6, so that is a mega effort by him. Jenson Button's in 9th, so clearly the Arrows car working very, very well in these slippery conditions. We line up down in P15. Coulthard doesn't even get inside the top 10 there, and the Minardis both go quicker than the BARs as well, so this has certainly mixed up the grid as we get ready for the race. But like I said, I've completely set the car up for race pace, so the fact we're only 1.2 seconds off pole sounds like a lot, but I want to remain confident.
Here we go then. It's time to race in Mexico City, a place which gave Honda their first ever victory back in 1965. American Richie Ginther won from third on the grid. And what are the Honda-powered cars this year? Well, Red Bull have been going strong here in recent seasons, so can they keep that record going today? 17 corners then at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, 10 to the right and 7 to the left, and all of them will have to be tackled in difficult, wet conditions here today. No DRS assistance either, at least not for the start of the race, but the best overtaking opportunities will still be down into turn 1 or shortly afterwards into turn 4. And with me as usual is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Mr. Monaco. No grid penalties, no mitigating circumstances, just a poor qualifying performance and a very disappointing start position for them today.
It's not a nice feeling, I promise you. They've got a quick car underneath them, but they've got onto the grid today and they need a pair of binoculars to see the start lights. They'll be desperate for a good start to make up for some of that deficit.
Well, this is a big afternoon for our World Championship hopes there. Jacques Villeneuve, he will just be praying that he doesn't get collected at turn 1. But looks like the storm is meant to go away later on in the GP. So maybe there's a chance here that we could try and get a bit of a better result. So I'm actually going to opt for the intermediate tyres early on. And then obviously we'll try and make the switch over to the dry compound later on. It's a little bit weird with the graphics inside this game, but I think we've figured that out well, ready for the start of the GP. It might mean we're slow in the first few laps, but hopefully the pace will come to us as the race goes on. Anything can happen here today in Mexico City. It is 5 red lights. Oh, mighty long hole, but it is finally lights out. And away we go. They're off to a fairly clean, tidy start. Of course, the longest run, I believe, in turn 1 inside this mod. So who knows what's going to happen by the time we get down there. I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I think there's going to be a safety car. As everybody just barrels in. It only takes one car to lock up with this damage model. And someone will have problems there, as surely this isn't going to be the weekend. Everybody gets through the first couple of corners cleanly. I've already dropped down to last place off the start, and of all the races we've had recently, the amount of safety cars we've seen this season on lap 1, how is it this weekend everybody makes it through turn 1 clean and tidy there, as we will go back down the inside of Jarno Trulli, through turn 4 and turn 5, around the outside our former teammate Johnny Herbert as well. I mean, suddenly now the grip starting to come to us here. Just got to try and, weirdly, you've got to keep the car in a low gear. That's kind of the big goal, is keep the car in a low gear around this circuit. Is just trimming the apex slightly too much to get down the inside of Kimi Räikkönen. As always, though, scared of just quite what the AI are going to do in through those first couple of corners, but no idea what's happened at the front of the order. You can already see Fernando Alonso had a pretty good start, actually. Starting to drop some places there. I think Alonso actually found an avenue around the outside through those first couple of turns, as Marc Genet there, well, does give us the room. A little bit of wheel banging on the exit of the corner there, as again, it's going to be a little bit cheeky. There weren't as many cameras back in 2001. You know, I'm sure those kind of things did happen from time to time. But Villeneuve will lead the way at the end of the first lap. Barrichello's already into the pit lane, so his fantastic qualifying effort is all for naught then early on. Straight line speed in this car, not bad going. And we got yellows out down at turn 1. Oh, we got a roadblock. No idea what's happened. It's Villeneuve. Villeneuve has gone, and we're into P1 somehow. Can't even see what's happened here, but I think Frentzen has gone down the inside there, and you can just see. Oh, here we go. So, Frentzen on the inside of Villeneuve down at the first corner. I mean, if you're Williams, you're telling him just to hold station here. But they just meet in the middle, don't they? You just see that little bit of contact. I'll try and get a better camera angle of it. So, both BMW Williams in turn 1 just come together, nick the rear wheels. That spits Villeneuve back into his teammate. And then further behind, there's just a sprawl of cars everywhere. I think a few of them have had retirements as well. I think Montoya's up into P2, but we're somehow in the lead. Well, this feels like a race from early on in the season. 14 cars involved in that one. So I think we've got, yeah, myself, Schumacher, Montoya, Magnussen, Alesi, and I would hope Barrichello's made it through, considering he was in the pit lane. What I'm actually going to do, though, because let's be fair, I shouldn't have kept all those places. Is I'm going to let both Schumacher, Montoya, Magnussen and the Lacey by. If it is Barrichello that is the last one running, then yeah, I won't let him by because obviously we were ahead of him anyway. But yeah, not going to claim those freebies like that. But I mean, that is just chaos there. I mean, Schumacher, Montoya might be into the pit lane anyway at the end of lap 2. So we might be straight back into the lead either way there. I think Schumacher should be okay. So yeah, we'll let Magnussen and the Lacey by, and we'll get ready for the safety car restart. Schumacher then leading the way ahead of Juan Pablo Montoya in an Arrows car. Could they be on for a historic podium here in Mexico? Why can't I put the power down? That was very odd. I had my foot welded to the floor, and the team just weren't letting me go anywhere with it, or the autopilot just wasn't allowing me to do a thing. But out of the final corner then, there are just 6 cars left running here in Mexico. The goal now for us is just to survive, because even if we finish 6th there, we'd still close points in on Villeneuve in the World Championship. And I'll level with you guys, occasionally this season, if we've had like a huge pile-up or something like that, that has taken out most of the runners, I will just restart the race, because let's be fair, often, you know, 6 cars left running is not a particularly enjoyable way of racing. But because Villeneuve and Frentzen caused it, they would have been out anyway. So, you know, because the championship fight is on the line with Jacques Villeneuve and, of course, the constructors against Williams, I'm kind of there going, they've caused their own pain here. If they'd been involved in someone else's wreck, you know, pretty much everybody else had been, then maybe I wouldn't. But this is Formula 1. Probably would have been a red flag, IRL. But, you know, this is Formula 1. What happens, happens sometimes. And, well, I'm hoping that the rest of us can try and see the checkered flag. Because, well, even if we finish, like, 4th, we'll be ahead of Villeneuve in the world title. There is still a long way to go, though, this afternoon. But surely, with the competition left running, we can win today. Forgot to mention as well, it was Kimi Räikkönen that was the last car in the train. So obviously we were already ahead of the BAR car before that safety car happened. Magnussen and the Lacey both opted to dive into the pit lane, hence why we stayed in this P3 position, because obviously it's where we would have ended up anyway, you know, had we just parked down at turn 1 behind that whole queue of cars. But I never thought I'd say this inside this game, but an Arrows is challenging a Ferrari for the victory here. And, well, we're just kind of sat in trying to settle into a rhythm. Remember, we are on inters relative to most people on wet still, but these tyres are definitely getting into the groove. What is a rookie campaign, Juan Pablo Montoya? It feels like he's done pretty well this season down at Arrows. Of course, obviously, probably, is it fair to say the best rookie they've had since obviously we were there? All the way back in 1998. That feels like a very long time ago now inside this career mode. But boy, oh boy, have we had a lot of fun with it so far. I really never knew when we started this series whether I'd try and get all the way through to the end of 2007. But we're almost at half distance already. And I am still loving it there as well. Juan Pablo making just a little bit of a mistake in towards the stadium section. That will invite us to have a look down the inside there, send it through. But immediately, he will just play the patience there. The Colombian will just switch back underneath me on the exit of the corner. How does our top end speed look back into turn 1? I'm trying to avoid wheel spin because the wet tyres, their wear is really high on this game. So we've only done a few racing laps and we're already up to 24% here. Can we get a run, though, on Montoya back in towards turn 1? Gaining on him, but not quite close enough. Come on then. Come on. Surely now we can get the runners. Oh no, we've had an incident behind, I think. Maybe Räikkönen is out of the Grand Prix. Yes, he is. Kimi Räikkönen's gone. As again, too busy focusing on that rather than on what I'm meant to be doing. And Juan Pablo Montoya will hang on to the position. Oh, again, Montoya. We've definitely got the pace over him. It is just about trying to get the run at the right part of the lap. Oh, down the inside. Oh, Montoya, I mean, you're lucky to get away with that little bit of contact here. And I mean, surely Arrow's have got to be saying to him as well, you know, there's a big opportunity. The McLaren is not your fight. No idea what's happened to Jean Alesi as well. He's way down the order. or way behind the rest of us that are still running, but he is setting fastest laps. Again, Juan Pablo, again, just a little bit of slipping and sliding. I mean, the problem is, on the brakes, he's very, very good right now, and I'm, well, as you can tell, not doing so well, trying to scrub off the speed. I mean, it's just that horrible thing of locking up the rears here, but circuit is definitely getting dry. Yeah, so I would assume that Montoya and Schumacher will be in pretty soon. Jan Magnussen now has set a new fast lap of the day, as here we go. Yeah, I think that was partly down to how much our battling with Juan Pablo's going on, but round the outside of the arrows, man. Surely the team aren't suggesting that we move to dries. Well, they want us to go to dries, but not for a few more laps. Well, now we're not stuck looking at the back of the Arrows car. The pace is really starting to come alive here towards the end of this intermediate stint. And Michael Schumacher, he is definitely still struggling along in that Ferrari car. I mean, Magnussen now has moved past Juan Pablo as well as new fast lap of the day for us. So finally then, this McLaren car starting to look good here and starting to get it into a window that we're happy with. Maybe didn't set the car up as well for the rain as I'd originally hoped we would, but then again, the AI, just there's so much kind of weird nuance with the way this mod works. It's always quite fun. But Schumacher, you just see they're struggling to put the power down at the first couple of corners. I don't think, I was hoping we could get to the front of the order in this race, but I didn't think we'd be, battling for the lead legitimately after about, well, 1/3 distance. Well, Schumacher and Ferrari keeping that winning streak alive. They always have won a race every season. I'm trying to think how far back that must go to. Probably, I think, 1992 or 1993 would be my guess. I think Ferrari have won a race every season since then onward, even in this alternative timeline. But yeah, Schumacher, though, obviously got that win in Singapore. Would love to get another one, I'm sure, here today in Mexico City. And a lot still could change, but at the moment, he does not seem like the fastest car there. In fact, he's actually going to dive into the pits right on my nose. I think we've got a couple more laps in it there before I'm willing to take this pit stop, but it's definitely going to have to happen soon. Is Schumacher, though, having to move to another set of wets? Has he not looked after his tyres as well as he needed to? I think he is. So I think, yeah, Schumacher there in a bit of bother has maybe cooked that set of wets and he's going to have to use another set. Meanwhile, I plan on moving straight over to the dries. Well, we saw, courtesy of Rubens Barrichello yesterday, just how quick that Stewart car can be when things work for it. Or Jaguar, even, I should say, in 2001. And, well, Magnussen now wasn't a likely protagonist, I think, coming into this Grand Prix, but that team have been quietly very consistent over the course of the year. And look at this, Jan Magnussen, he's going to make the move past us down the inside and up then into the lead of the Grand Prix. We again just make a tiny bit of contact there, and again we will just about get away from it. But yeah, tyre wear up now to 64%. I think we can afford one more lap before we're going to have to make the call and move over onto a fresh set of tyres. Oh no, that is such a bad time to tell me that, Mark. They reckon it's time now, but I certainly couldn't box them. Well, we are definitely going to dive into the pit lane then at the end of this lap. Not much spray being kicked up at all now, and ultimately, yeah, the tyre wear so high that I just don't want to risk getting a puncture or something like that. Again, even if we finish P5 in this race, it would still be decent points out of Villeneuve there, and of course against Williams as well. I see we should be able to take that constructors fight to the season finale. Is, yep, both myself and Magnussen into the pit lane then at the start of lap 16. So onto the dries we're going to go. I would assume he's going to be doing the same thing. It's a big gamble though, as Montoya as well into the pit lane. And Magnussen, oh, he's on Michelin's, isn't he? So yeah, those are the dry Michelin compounded tyre as well. Schumacher and Alesi have already dived in as well. But yeah, Magnussen, he's actually got a very good pit stop. So the plan now, according to the team, is drag these tyres to the end of the race. But yeah, you can see no spray being kicked up. So I think we've timed that pretty much perfectly. Magnussen does a 25.5 here. We can only do a 26.6. And I tell you what, this storm that has battered Mexico over the last couple of days, ever since Friday night, finally going away. And the sun just starting to poke through those clouds. But That Jaguar, I tell you what, it's very, very quick in a straight line. But it's also got enough speed and downforce through the corners. They've continued bringing upgrades to that car towards the end of the year. They've often kind of been not that far away from your top two teams. I'm genuinely struggling to keep up with Magnussen here. Unless he needs to pit again or something like that, he might genuinely win this one. You guys know in this series I never back down without a fight here. Magnussen even 22-1. We are finally getting the pace out of this car now. 21-7. And that will really send a firing shot over to Jaguar and Jan Magnussen. I mean, I think they have won a race in this series back in either 2000 or 1999. You know, they had a very good car, even when they were Stewart Grand Prix through 1999 as well. Obviously, they were our big rival, obviously, when we were down at Jordan. But, I mean, today, that car, genuinely, I know we've obviously got a slightly compromised setup here to suit the wet conditions, but that car is flying along. I mean, we are just setting fastest lap after fastest lap right now. And Jan Magnussen, well, that gap's now finally under a second. Only problem I have got is that Jaguar is very, very quick in a straight line. Doesn't seem like that time around he's using as much of his fuel in towards that first corner, but even if we get past him, he might still be able to attack back against us. In 2023, there would have been quite a few fairy tale victories in Formula 1. Had it not been for Max Verstappen, Lando Norris would have probably got his first ever win. Oscar Piastri might have won a race as a rookie as well, but ultimately, far too many times, Verstappen and Red Bull obviously were 30 seconds up the road of anything entertaining happening in those races. And that's how it feels today. I'm hoping we can get past Magnussen, but whenever, you know, it's one of those horrible things. We need the points for our championship. Like, we absolutely need to leave here with the world title lead. But you just feel bad denying, you know, a driver a historic win or a team a return to the top step of the podium. Well, let's try and get a good run out of that final corner. 0.003 of a second away from setting a new personal best of the GP. But because I'm running such high wing, obviously to suit the car in the wet conditions, you can just see even at the top end, even with the slipstream, that Jaguar just has got a little bit more over us. As Magnussen again making his way through these first couple of corners. So tricky. We're actually much quicker than him through the twisty parts of the circuit. So if I wanted to make a move, it's probably Sector 2 or Sector 3 that is going to be where it happens. Because, well, down at the first couple of corners, it is going to be near impossible. They just see how much we are exploring the circuit, trying to find grip anywhere, trying to see if we can fill his mirrors and throw him off the line. But Jan Magnussen, he's a very experienced driver at this point. He is just soaking up the pressure. Well, the goal, I think, has got to be just to fill his mirrors and surprise him, and that's exactly what we're going to do here. To the inside of Magnussen. We just about get the car slowed down. You know what? I wasn't expecting that to work. We get a warning for a collision with him. I didn't know we actually made contact with Jan there. So I don't know if he's picked up front wing damage or something has happened. Further back, Schumacher now has found a way around Juan Pablo Montoya, so the podium dream, I think, for Arrows might be slowly getting crushed. But yeah, I think there was contact between ourselves and Magnussen there.
Damage. We should be able to pull a gap.
Well, there we go then. So that certainly wasn't my intention. We just sent it to the inside of him there. Thought I'd made it cleanly by. But Jan Magnussen then, he might have to pit here towards the end of the afternoon. And with just 11 laps to go, we are finally back in P1. Oh, no. No! Oh, Juan Pablo Montoya. He does so well to make it this far in the Grand Prix. I think he might still be classified because he's done as close to 90%. Or he's done enough of the Grand Prix. I think he'll still technically be finished. Because obviously, if it's 36 laps, it'll allow you 4 laps from the flag. Which would be lap 33. But after such a good race for Juan Pablo Montoya, it has all come to an end, agonizingly close to the checkered flag. If he doesn't get the 10 points for that, I will be so sad for him. While looking around this Mexican circuit now, you would never guess the last 36 hours the amount of rain that has fallen around this venue. The crowd still came out though in their thousands to support on. And what a race weekend it has been. Terrible qualifying Honestly, I've completely botched the setup this weekend. It's been not particularly fantastic in the wet and, well, actually, I suppose in the dry conditions, it has been fairly good around this circuit there. But as we start the last lap then of the Mexican Grand Prix, for the first time since Monaco, it looks like we are going to stand on the top step of a Formula 1 podium. I honestly thought it was looking like this season we might do a Kimi Raikkonen from 2003, win races, or a couple of races early on in the season, and then never get back to the front. But finally, this season is looking a bit more like Max Verstappen's last year. Win a few races at the start of the year, and just hang on in there and get a couple of wins right towards the end, right when it matters. Jordan, they took victory here a couple of years ago, courtesy of myself. That might well be the last win we ever see for that organisation there, as through the final couple of corners, not quite going to get close enough to lap Jean Alesi in today's race. But through the Foro del Sol one final time here in Mexico City, that is critical for our Drivers' World Championship. Out of the final corner, it is P1.
You worked hard for that one. Congratulations.
The thin air here in Mexico City makes this event a brutal one for these Formula One cars. But this team have done a fantastic job to make it to the checkered flag and take a well-earned victory. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
Well, Crofty, this was won through an abundance of speed and an abundance of skillful overtakes. Inside, outside, cutting underneath, we saw it all today. And it's really nice to see a Grand Prix won in that manner. A race, surely, that will satisfy the purists today, I think.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot. A well-earned victory for Mercedes.
Well, there we are then, the end of the Mexican Grand Prix, and luckily Juan Pablo Montoya, first and foremost, does get classified there. 10 points for Arrows, I'm sure will sit very nicely on their tally there. But 31 seconds clear of Michael Schumacher in the end. Jan Magnussen in P3 with Jean Alesi also seeing the checkered flag for Jordan. But yeah, I mean, Williams, they caused their own downfall today, and it has really, really cost them there. Championship-wise, we head to Brazil with a 14-point lead in the table. So all we need is a P4 finish in Sao Paulo. Reminder, we have not finished lower than P4 at any race so far this year there. Fredson still at her Coulthard. Schumacher with that result now moves up to P5. And I think, honestly, this has been a year where Schumacher has shown just how good he is behind the wheel of a car, even when it's struggling. Ralph still in 7th ahead of Fisichella. Obviously not much movement further down the order. Jan Magnussen will jump Button, Herbert and Hakkinen, though, I guess. And yeah, Juan Pablo Montoya now back ahead of Jarno Trulli as well. He would need a bit of a miracle, though, in that final race if he wants to get a few more points there. 9 in it between Williams and McLaren as well, though. I would love it if we're able to take home the Constructors' Championship. Jaguar and Ferrari both jump Sauber with that result as well. They're Jordan only 5 points back as well after what was such a strong start to the campaign. Arrows, though, with that result do jump BAR, so those points have been critical. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon for the season finale in Brazil. You guys do not want to miss that.